Today we've been talking about dealing with difficult people. And when I think about dealing with difficult people, one of the things I'm reminded of over and over again is this man who came on the airplane one day. He was about 6'4". He was very visibly upset the day he came on, and he hit a lady with his backpack when he came on. He threw his backpack under the seat and he kicked it and he shouted words of profanity. And as this man started to use those words of profanity, I started to develop a perception of him. My perception of him was, what a jerk, right? What a jerk. This guy's such a jerk. And the more he did and the more he said his little words of profanity, the more I was convinced this guy is a jerk. Now at that point, because I'm already convinced, there's not much you could have said to me that would have changed my mind. I was a flight service manager and I made the announcement, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be starting our beverage service very shortly. If you would like to have a beverage or a snack, please make sure you lower your tray table as we will be passing through the cabin momentarily. Other than that, relax, sit back, and enjoy your flight today. A little bit later on, we were out in the aisle with the cart and we were serving sandwiches. We had a baseball team over on the right side of the aircraft and they were kind of having a little bit of fun. They were embracing something that I call the fish philosophy. You know what that is, right? Where they're throwing fish at the fish market. Well, they were throwing their sandwiches, which we called hockey pucks. We affectionately called them hockey pucks because they were round and hard like hockey pucks. So the flight attendants over there were tossing them out to the baseball team. And we got down the row and we came to the seat 12C where this man was sitting. And he had not lowered his tray table. He was kind of sitting back with his eyes closed. He looked like he was asleep and his tray table had not been lowered. So we did not leave a beverage or a sandwich at his seat. But about the time we got about 3 rows back, one of the things happened. He heard that little noisy, squeaky bar cart wheel. And when he heard that, it woke him up and he stood up in the middle of the aisle. He noticed that everybody around him had a sandwich and a beverage. And his impression was, or his thought was, that we intentionally skipped him. So he stood up in the aisle. He said, hey, over here, I did not get a sandwich. I said, oh, sir, that's not a problem. She'll grab your beverage if you'd like to tell her what you'd like to have, and I'll grab your sandwich. I reached down, grabbed the tray, pulled it out of the cart, grabbed a sandwich, and I said, sir, here, catch. I threw the sandwich his way, but that man did not catch. The sandwich hit him on the head, it hit him in the chest, and then it flunked to the ground. And as it hit the ground, this man shouted out more words of profanity, words that would make a sailor blush. He said, how dare you throw that sandwich at me? Who do you think you are? I want to speak to your manager right now. I said, that would be me. Are you kidding me? They let people like you manage a flight like this? And with that, he sat down with a few more words of profanity. Now, he had just reinforced what I already thought about him. I already thought he was a jerk. And now that he talked to me the way he did, I also decided that he was a jerk. Have you ever noticed how, when we're dealing with difficult people like that, we don't really know what to say? We don't know if we should say something or shut up, right? We don't know if we should speak up or step back. And so in this moment, I was thinking about what I should say. And I said, sir, I am so sorry. We were just having fun in the cabin. And he said, I don't call this fun. And he said some other words that weren't very nice. I went to the back of the airplane, and in the back of the cabin where the galley is, one of the flight attendants had seen what was going on. And she said, oh my gosh, Diana, what a jerk. How did you deal with that guy? He is such a jerk. We do seek validation for our thoughts and our feelings, don't we? And also for our perceptions. I said, oh yeah, he was kind of a jerk. What? It wasn't me though, right? It wasn't me. She looked at me and she said, oh no, Diana, it wasn't you. It was him. He is such a jerk. He treated you horribly. Now she just validated what I was already thinking, right? And as she validated what I was thinking already, have you ever noticed how we do that in the workplace too? I don't think we need this new robotic system. It's going to take a lot of jobs away. And then I go to Jane and I say to Jane, Jane, did you hear about the new robotic system our manufacturing company is putting in? We don't need that. It's going to take away our jobs. We can't afford to lose our jobs. And then Jane goes to the next person and says, I was talking to Diana earlier, and she said we shouldn't have this new robotic system in because it's going to take away jobs. And that's how I feel too. What do you think? And the next thing you know, we've got a whole perception formed because one person had a thought about that. So I wanted to bring that up to you because I know your organization is going through a lot of changes right now. And I know that there's going to be some dealing with difficult people because we all have those perceptions and feelings and sometimes misunderstandings about the change that occurs in an organization. So before we talk about the change management and change model, I think we need to kind of address what goes on personally when we're faced with those emotions of change in the workplace. So just like I was dealing with this man who was a difficult man, I eventually went up and I noticed that our actions will influence what we do, right? So because I already thought he was a jerk and I went to pour my coffee, I intentionally skipped by him because my thought process was, he's a jerk and he doesn't deserve coffee. So I didn't give him any. I just noticed I was a little bit, I only had a little bit left anyway. So I went to the back of the cabin and I just didn't give him any coffee. A little bit later, I got to thinking about it though, and I thought, yeah, I wonder how I would feel if somebody hit me with a sandwich between the eyes. I probably wouldn't like it either. And so I went to the man and I got down on one knee and I just said, sir, I am so very sorry. I truly want to apologize to you. I didn't mean to offend you in any way. When I said that, this man who was about 6'4" got huge tears in his eyes and he started crying. And I said, sir, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. And I started to walk away. He grabbed me by the hand though, and he said, wait, hold on. That's something my sister would have done. I said, oh, I know where she's at. I remembered the young lady that he bumped with his backpack and shouted words of profanity at, and I knew where she was sitting in the back of the cabin. So I said, I'll go get her for you. And he said, you can't do that. I said, why not? I'm the service manager. I can do it if I want to. He said, no. And he started to cry more. He said, my sister was killed by a drunk driver this week. I've just come from New York from her funeral. Now with that, I'm thinking this man is a jerk. And suddenly he's just given me some new information that's causing me to look at that situation in a totally new way. Have you ever had that happen? Where somebody presents you with just a little bit of new information and it totally changes how you see things? You see, in that moment, I saw him very differently. Before, I didn't want to give him coffee, and now I want to say, hey, can I get you some coffee? How about a glass of wine? Can I fluff up your pillow? Would you like a blanket? What can I do to make you feel better? Because I understand the pain and the agony you're facing. Perception is a really weird thing. You know, when we have a perception of someone or something, we do try to validate our feelings about those perceptions. And the more we validate them, the stronger those feelings become. And then our attitudes and our actions also impact what happens. It's impacted by that perception. So I want to leave you with this thought. And that thought is, what can you do to look at things in a different way? Now, I don't know what I might have said during this segment that might have made you think about things in a different way, but I certainly hope there's something. Because Dr. Stephen Covey used to call that a paradigm shift. When you see things one way, that's the only way you can see it. Somebody comes along, presents you a little bit more information, and now you're able to see the bigger picture, and you're able to see it from a different perspective. I hope today I've said something that's caused you to think about things in a different perspective.